Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead video, and today we'll be talking about what if Abraham survived the Season 7 lineup. And the idea for this video comes from Ray Blair, as in the previous video he asked what if Abraham survived, and I thought it was such a good idea that I would make a video about it and say what I think would happen if Abraham survived Season 7. So in this scenario, Glenn is the only character to die in the lineup, and Abraham makes it to the next episode of Season 7. And the first half of the season would be about Abraham trying to convince Rick to go to war. Sasha and Rosita's stories in this season will be completely changed, especially Sasha, as Abraham's still around. However, Rosita's could be changed, but it would be slightly similar as she was still dipped by Abraham, so she could still have that espresso depresso vibe. I definitely see Abraham being the reason why one of those characters dies still, as they are both still in love with Abraham. They would probably still agree with Abraham's plan to go and fight, and maybe near the end of the season the war is getting going and Abraham comes up with a gutsy plan to try and take out Negan. Sasha and Rosita are in on this plan, and maybe instead of it being this rogue plan that Sasha and Rosita come up with in the show, it is a more formulated plan that maybe Rick is involved in, and it goes wrong still. They break in, and maybe because you had that external factor that Sasha's actor wanted to leave, Sasha gets caught by Negan. And it could be a bit more similar to what happened in the comics, and maybe Negan immediately mistakes Sasha for Michonne, a lot like in the comics when Negan mistakes Holly for Andrea. And because Abraham is still alive, Sasha's death will be completely different. Her death won't be a suicide, and it'll be one of two things. First of all, it'll be her killing herself as a plan to get Negan, which is very, very dumb. Or second of all, her death will happen because Negan kills her, or something like that. She dies, Negan knows, and it'd be similar to the comics, where instead of her being in a casket, she'll have a bag over her head, and Negan will push her into Alexandria to get someone bit. And I definitely think they would go for the second option, and her death would be very similar to Holly's. Moving on to Season 8, and I definitely see Abraham dying. I don't see him living past the all-out war arc, as there's not really much to do with Abraham past the saviors. Like, you could have him do a few things here and there, but it works best for the warrior and the ex-military to die during the war. And I see Abraham, he's got this big death, and I can definitely see Abraham maybe dying about episode 8 or 9 in the show at the fall, or he dies, if he doesn't die at the fall of Alexandria, he would die maybe at the Battle of Hilltop, something like that. They'll give Abraham a big battle death. He won't die in any of the smaller episodes, he would die in either one of the two big fights, and it would be a sacrifice to save other people. I don't think because Abraham's alive, other characters will survive. I definitely think the big changes for Abraham would mostly be in Season 7, and Season 8 would be him just being the action hero until he dies, and maybe because he dies, you could change Carl's death, but I think because Carl dies leaving Alexandria, his death would still happen, sadly, with Abraham around. It is just maybe this would be another factor on top of Rick's decision to save Negan's life at the end of the season. I just don't really see him living past the Savior War because there's not much else story you can tell of him. He's not like Glenn. If he survived Season 7, he would obviously become the face, something like that with Daryl. But Abraham, he is a warrior type character, and I definitely think if he survived that lineup, all they would do is kill him near the end of the war. He would have been one of the big deaths to add to the war, and there's nothing else you could do with this character. So what I think, 2 more seasons they could have given him. They could have had Season 7 be him being the big motivation for every character to go to war. Him being a reason why Sasha dies, not because she's already dead, but because he has a plan that goes wrong. And in Season 8, him having this big battle and being one of Rick's right-hand man, and maybe Daryl gets sidelined a little, and you couldn't have as much with Daryl because Abraham would be the big general, more or less, of the armies. So that is my what if Abraham survived. I definitely don't think he would survive much longer. So please tell me down below, what do you think? Do you agree with me that he might only have 1 or 2 more seasons, or do you think he would make it into the Whisperer War, and what if he made it into the Whisperer War? I'd like to know your opinions down below. I just don't think if he made it there, there'll be much story for him, so I'm not going to go past Season 8 for Abraham. So please tell me anything down below. If you want more Walking Dead content, make sure to like and subscribe, because it helps you to keep up to date with all things Walking Dead. So goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you in my next video.